Bam.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm
Good evening.
Omzer Buchter, and next to me in the middle we have.
Arisimir Politopoulos. And right over there we have...
Corine Times New Roman Gerritsen.
And
What
today,
are we playing today?
well, we're playing something Aris knows all about, and I know nothing about. And do you know anything about this period, Corine?
Not much. No. Very limited.
So tonight we're playing something early access because that's what we like. That's what we do. And you can't see it because our faces are on the way. Let me just.
Our
quickly...
faces are on the way. Bam. Faces are not on the way anymore.
I like this game because it has a really uncluttered AI. But
yes.
Tonight we're playing Sumerians.
Yes.
Which is, as you can see, in early access. It's been out for 2 weeks now. The 2nd of December, right?
It's been out since the 2nd of December. Yeah. I've participated briefly in the closed alpha version.
Oh, you're such a hipster.
Such a hipster. I am more than excited. I am thrilled because one of my, I as I've said many times, I always try to squeeze in Near East in there, and then I get to do all the talking because it's about the Near East. But the fact of the matter is that I never had the chance to talk about Sumerians all that much because it's a type of period that is super cool, in my professional opinion, of course, but it doesn't have that many games about it, you know? Like, yeah, there are stuff about Persia, and there are stuff about, like, later Near East and about the Hellenistic period and stuff. But there's nothing about, like, hardcore early dynastic, like very, very early, like city states in the Near East. And I always thought it would be such a cool thing to do. And now it's there. And I am hyped.
Of course you are.
Yes.
You're always hyped.
I'm hyped.
But let's just... We're not gonna play the tutorial. I mean...
No, let's not play
the tutorial when you have me, I mean.
Exactly.
So,
look at this.
We have 3 city options to pick from. We have the beginner one, which is Ninurta. We have Enki, I don't know how you say that, but probably like that, which is easy. Or we have Gilgamesh, which is normal. So there's
I have to say, these are not the names of the cities, these are names of individuals.
Yeah, of course.
So Gilgamesh is the guy from the epic. Urnamu is one of the... Ninurta is a god, and Enki is also a god.
But let's just go with Ninurta, I guess, because it's the easiest one. We don't want to make it too hard on ourselves.
Ninurta is also kind of dope. I really like Ninurta.
There we go. We could either go for a small or large map. Let's just do large. Any other... We have 4 options. Doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
These ones have the least elevations, but I mean...
If you want to be relatively... If we want to make this about some form of historical accuracy...
That's what we're all about. I mean, that's what...
Yeah, right? I think we should go probably with the top left.
This one,
yeah. Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, so the tooltip here says that increased fertility means more crop yields. The higher the elevation, the more trading. So the better prices you get. But trading is not a huge part of the game yet, I can say. And it's also beginner, so it's good for it. Let's just do this one. I might need to turn down the volume on the game's music a bit. I'm not sure. So if one of you could check in a while if the sound is right.
Yeah, I will let you know.
The sound of the gentleman on the left is a bit soft.
I'm the gentleman on the left?
I think I'm the gentleman.
You are the gentleman on the left.
Let me see if I can somehow...
But I'm
give yourself a good...
on the left.
I have some space left in my OBS, so...
Crank it up.
Crank it up.
Is it better now, or...
Let me also check on the stream.
I mean, it's a funky tunes, but it's only 2, so you get kinda quickly done with them.
I think some of the game is pretty okay.
Yeah, with us talking as well.
I think so.
I can go. I can go louder. I can go louder.
Yeah, you can go a bit louder. I think you can go a bit louder.
Thanks,
Go
Lord
I
all
can
the
Malpheus.
way.
confirm.
Just crank it up all the way, and then it will be working
Yeah,
fine.
I don't want the full tunnel
No.
experience. So,
Yeah.
so this is the map. We have map controls. We can like zoom and
Mhm.
zoom out, zoom in. We can even do that with the keyboard or with the mouse, which is something I really like because it's so annoying if you can't do that. And
Yeah.
this city builder starts like any city builder. You have to
Mhm.
place your first like
Your central building somewhere.
central
Oh,
building.
it looks
The
tiny.
map is
Yeah.
pretty big. It looks
It
small,
looks
but the map is
tiny,
actually
but
pretty big.
it's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess we want to start somewhere. I like this one like corner with the not too much further around. I mean, we could do the island, but it's kind of eh.
No, you don't want to do the island. Also because in practice, these places would flood.
Yeah.
So you don't wanna you don't want your city to be in the middle of the flooding.
I mean, the Netherlands, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah,
Yes.
but let's
Maybe
just
that has been a mistake. We'll know in like 20 years. But
let's just plunk it down. And as I already told, great UI. It's so uncluttered. I love it. I can make it. Maybe I should make it a little bit bigger. I don't know if it's fine for you. For me, it's fine, but maybe.
Yeah, the game it looks fine.
No, it's fine.
It looks fine.
I can make it bigger. So.
I have to say that this game has a lot of quality. I mean, I don't play that many city builders. I'm known for not being super great in city builder games.
Your words,
I have
not
tried
mine.
them. I have to say my favorite city builder game, which is not a city builder, is 2 Point Hospital. And in that, I'm great. Trust me, I can change light bulbs on people's heads all night.
But does that game have Sumerians though?
No, and that's the problem.
That's the point. Yeah.
Hello, Doc Random.
Hello, Doc Random.
Hello to all of you, by the way.
Yeah, still no
Shop
trumpets.
Nefero,
Sorry.
Lord Morpheus, Funky Bum.
Does this game work with zoning?
I was just about to tell you, it indeed has zoning. So this game has 4 basic zones. So it has the housing, citizens farming, citizens workshops, and market stalls. And you'd be like, citizens farming? That's because there's also another farming.
Mm-hmm.
And this game doesn't have a currency. So it doesn't have gold, but it has state fields. So you kind of just like pay with food. And so a city like this has to produce grain for the state, but also grain for themselves. Like the people need to eat. And Aris, Angus says to
fix your microphone.
Yeah, grain for the people.
Turn down.
Indeed.
Wait, I can do it on me. Yeah.
Or just sit a little bit further away from it.
There. No, I should not be clipping now that much.
But like I said, this game has zoning, so
yeah,
we start with.
So there will be houses.
Yeah, and they like in Foundation last week, they just pop up. You don't need to build them actively. These are all the zones you need. So we have the housing, we have the citizens farming, the citizens workshop where they like make stuff, but you don't get any money from that, and the market stalls where people can get their food.
Yeah.
So these are like the 4 zonings you need. You also need, of course, the state farms because that's what gets you stuff.
That's what should give you money.
You need the farming.
What is that?
And you also need, of course, a building hut, like any other game. Without the builders, you can't build anything. I mean, makes sense.
Makes sense. Hey, Pasco.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
That was a Sumerian
I'm
trumpet.
here,
Yeah.
there will be trumpets.
What I also really like about this game is the fact that you can already build everything. At least you can see everything.
Yeah, that's pretty cool actually. That you have a concept of the game already. Like, okay, I can see all this stuff. Okay, I cannot
especially
really see
for
it,
like
but I can see it.
playability and replayability, especially for an early access game. I mean, I've played this game for a few hours now, and it's kind of like, yeah, if you have to like unlock everything all the time, it kind of gets boring. It's kind of eh. But now at least you can just build everything. I mean, of course, we want to build this one.
Of course, you want to build a ziggurat. Everybody wants to build a ziggurat.
But yeah,
I mean, we can talk about the temples because you start by a very small temple.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, the mud temple. So we can talk about this. We can talk about everything.
How far can you zoom in?
Yeah, my scroll wheel is still a bit iffy, so it kind of zooms in and
Yeah,
out.
you can scroll in pretty close. Yeah,
This is the furthest I can go.
yeah, but it's very nice. I think
And
how far you can scroll.
we can follow these people.
Oh, yeah.
Just stopped following. It's not like Foundation where you can like, but still. Argio Basti says everyone wants to build a ziggurat. What about the laborers?
I mean, maybe
details.
they also wanted to.
Indeed, details.
You don't know.
Maybe
The people have Sumerian names.
I am gonna bump up the speed a little bit just because.
I don't think the individual people have names, right? Or do they?
No.
No, right? No.
I'm not sure. You're in the Discord. Maybe it's something they want to add in later. I mean, I don't think it's that hard to like add in.
But they have a very interesting frequently asked questions in the thing. In their Discord, and it has a lot of stuff that we can also discuss, also in terms of the gameplay, but also in terms of the reality, like why is there no war and stuff, like about war and whether there is or not, and fighting and stuff. And
always these war things. Come on.
Yeah.
So what I also really like about this game is the fact it has a demands thing, just a bit like City Skylines. I really like it because you know what you need to build. I don't just plonk things down and just. This game has a lot of like infographics, and I really like infographics because they can help you playing the game.
Yeah.
So you have like the.
Water access is not very good.
I mean,
like
you can just walk
completely
to the river.
red, like.
But I mean, we can do stuff about it, like building canals.
Yes, and you should, and there were plenty of canals.
Is there any way, like, what way would the Sumerians build these canals? Like, I'm just building them straight from the river.
Not necessarily, no. Sometimes, but you don't wanna. Depending on which river you're on the side of, you don't always want canals that are directly connected to the river. And depends on So the two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, have relatively different characters, one can say. So you need different types of irrigation techniques and adjustments. And sometimes you don't even want to bring the water from the more potentially violent floodings of the Tigris, for example, but you want to bring the water from the side mountains or from the perennial rivers, which are a little bit more predictable and a little bit more manageable in terms of water flooding.
I mean, like if you would have been building on this center island, it would have been a bad idea to just like plunk down a canal just straight away, because that's like asking for the water gods.
You should think that they would, what they would do is they would engage in really large-scale irrigation projects. So they would create significantly larger canals that could be associated with the bigger rivers, but then they would redirect water from those canals and from those dams and whatever to their cities, which is very interesting because it has created a lot of political conflict around who manages which canal and who gets to divert the river in their own city and stuff. It's actually, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see them adding in more canal types, I think.
Yeah, I think it would. If you would play in a game with more cities, so if this would get the scale of an Anna game where you have other cities and you get to compete and whatnot, and then you have multiple cities competing for the same water resources or like discussing for the same water resources, then you could also argue that more types of canals would make more sense.
Yeah, because there's only this like basic type of duck canal, like they just dig out a hole.
Yeah.
And it's not that wide, so I'd see them having more, like especially you have those bridges, but you can just plunk them down. Something they probably don't want to have in a final game, but you just plunk down these things.
Yeah. And these canals would have been potentially pretty large as well, like not a couple of meters, but pretty large.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. You don't want to have like these pretty small canals. But I like you can just dig them. You don't need anything for them. You don't need mud or anything. You just dig a hole.
Yeah. I have a funny There is, for example, a very funny incident. Let me try and find the actual text of it, if I can, actually.
Prepare, people, prepare.
Yeah, so there is this thing called the Umalagas conflict. That's documented in a clay cone, and it's basically an argument between two cities about who manages a specific canal and up to which point is the border of one city, and whether some fields in relation to the levees of some canals belong to one city or another. And generations of kings would fight over this, and this has
Of course
been
they would.
documented. Yeah, and then you have this amazing text that says, "Oh, my grandfather did this and that, and your grandfather was a pretty big asshole actually, and he was unfair. And then my father was like, fuck you to your father. So now it's my responsibility to upkeep that." And then they documented this on a clay cone, which would put these clay cones as sort of memory stuffs on borders and points of interest. And it's also found in what is called the Stele of the Vultures. I'll put it in the chat if I can find it really quickly.
That sounds very Indiana Jonesy.
Stele of the Vultures. There we go. Homer Gamer says that we need aliens in here.
Yeah, I mean, and
After we get the aliens, we get the technology. Naturally,
those nice
of course.
people from Atlantis could tell us how.
Happens.
Let's not have to see people over, please. No, we're not going there.
Just to give you a chronological situation of where we're at right now, considering that we see stuff like names earlier, like Urnamu and Gilgamesh and stuff, we should be situated in what is generally called the early dynastic period in historical terms. And that would date from somewhere around 2900 BC, let's say. So around 3000, maybe a bit later BC, until the 2300s, and maybe maybe let's say the entire third millennium, from 3000 to 2000 BC. These are the type of cities we're looking at.
I'm just building more canals. I want more.
Yeah.
You build canals, and it makes sense. And they would have
Completely around the
lots of
city?
canals.
Were they around the city as well? Like completely surrounding it?
Not necessarily, although we do have some cases of moats, but you don't. They would have walls, but they wouldn't necessarily have moats around their cities.
Yeah, you can also just build the canals underneath the walls, which is kind of funny. Kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a wall if you can just swim under them. But that's just me. Yeah.
So we're called Ninurta, right?
I think it's just the starting map. I don't think
it's the name of the map.
Yeah,
no, right? Because, yeah, maybe.
It doesn't show anywhere else.
I'm gonna make the wild association right here because as one does, yeah. Ninurta is the name of a god, a warrior god, or also god of agriculture, and he was the protector of the city Nippur. So each individual city would have its own god protector. So Marduk, for example, was the god protector of Babylon, and you had, I don't know, Ea or Enki being the city protector of Eridu. So the city of Nippur was associated with the god Ninurta.
Could you maybe turn down the mic a little bit more? They were making jokes about you French kissing it and saying city nipple. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just getting too excited about this. Sorry.
What are we using the transport thing for? I saw donkeys.
Yeah, they're transporting the grain to the... I'm not really sure. Like they get the grain from the fields to the farming hut thingy. And also to this one, which is the small warehouse, where we keep all of our grain. Like now our people are not feeding on berries, they're all feeding on grain, which kind of makes sense.
Also the city, Nippur, had one of the main temples of the famous god Enlil. There were plenty of gods in the Mesopotamian pantheon, and cities could have different ones. So in Nippur we have the cult center of Ninurta, but also the temple for Enlil. So, real question, what does Nippur mean? Where did it get its name from? It depends. There are Nippur was an ancient Sumerian city. It was the special seat of the worship of the Sumerian god Enlil. Yeah. So the name Nippur is loosely associated to Nibru, the Sumerian word, and sort of loosely associated with the name of the god Enlil in Sumerian.
Yeah, I'm just plunking down more bridges.
What is the difference between the state fields and other?
Yeah, so
fields.
Like I said in the beginning, I can explain again. These are like your main source of income. So there's the state, which is us.
Yeah.
And the state needs stuff to buy things and do things. That's the straight production. So that's this number you see here. You also have the people, what are they called again? Citizen farms. That's what feeds the people.
Oh, those feed the people, but
yeah. So these feed people.
If we trade with them and we give them our grain, they have more grain, right? Or what happens if you don't have enough food? They just take it from there.
I managed to get that once. They die. Literally, a lot of people die. Like it doesn't give a warning when you drop below 0. It's like 100 people have died. I was like,
yeah.
Oh,
whoops.
Oops. That's pretty.
Not good.
Yeah. So it makes sense. You want to just keep up this production as well as this one, and I think this one is also tracked in the quality of life. So I think the less food you have, the less happy they are. I don't know really what happens.
So Archaeobastai says they had a lot of gods, but only one city god, which is true. But it also, at points, they would be very like open about having, for example, the Uruk would have Anu and would have the Anu ziggurat, but it also had its dedicated space of the worshipping of Ishtar. So, and Ishtar often would also be described as the god protector of Uruk, and Anu would also be described as a god protector for Uruk. So it could be multiple, as is the case also with Nippur, where you have both the shrine to Ninurta and the shrine to Enlil. But other cities, like the city of Ashur, for example, would only have Ashur, and the city of Babylon would only have Marduk. In some cases, gods were shared among cities, like Larsa and Sipar would have Shamash.
So we're now starting to build our first temple. I think this is an awesome spot for a temple. It's a mud temple. It needs 20 mud.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting until the people have like picked up all the mud. So please keep in mind we're playing on the easiest difficulty. So that's why I have almost 3,000 and we can go through this pretty quickly.
I really like in this game. One thing that I really like is all these mud pits. So if you go to the mud pit that you have there, and you have a mud pit where people get to collect all the mud.
This one,
right?
So the top one, this one,
and then you have like this place where they lay out, the brickyard, where they lay out all the bricks, which is exactly like it was. So they would have like these really big pits around their cities, and some cities would have higher brick production based on like the consistency of the soil, and they would make these large pits, and indeed they would lay out on the sun for these bricks to dry, rows upon rows upon rows, and they would have these wooden constructions, sort of molds that would place on the ground, and then they would place the bricks there, and they would lift them and let the bricks dry, and then people would have to go and pick them up.
Like you can see here, I think.
Do they
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
put like
Yeah,
a
you see the
stamp in the
molds there?
bricks?
Yeah, so these are the molds, like these ones, I guess, where the people are. Oh, can you see the mouse? Yeah, you can on stream.
Yeah, you can see the molds.
So these are the molds, and these are like the bricks laying out, and these are standing up.
Yeah,
Kind of reminds me of Green Hell
great.
as well.
I mean, maybe these mud bricks are a little bit too square. They would have been a little bit more rectangular, but I'm nitpicking here, obviously.
As you do. We also have the clay pit, where you make
Yes,
clay
so
for the pottery workshops.
Yeah, and that's also interesting because you also get in clay pits, you get to mix your clay with like other stuff like wheat, and make the consistency of the clay that you actually want. That would make it better either for mud bricks or would make it better for pottery. What do I think about the reconstruction and the architecture? I really like the architecture, and it's relatively cookie cutter, so to speak. It's kind of gets a little bit repetitive, but it is a little bit irregular, which I think is a good point. I mean, the city plans could have been a bit different. I'm not sure if they could have this L shape with the front yard and stuff. And in some of the larger buildings, you don't see this oblong, like tripartite architecture that would be the case for a lot of the more administrative or religious buildings. But I really like the approach with the square houses, with this sort of reed roof, and the mud bricks that you can see, and the variation in color, that they're not completely uniformed.
Have you also seen them upgraded, or not?
I can't remember. I think.
So like.
What do they need to upgrade?
So they need to upgrade. They need mud walls, which we can build eventually. I mean, we could build them now, but it's kind of we need to like encircle this entire area with mud walls. When you upgrade them to walls with bricks, you even get better stuff. But they also need security. I mean, we might get there sometime, but.
What about the big town hall thing?
This one. That's the small warehouse.
Oh, this is a small warehouse.
Yeah. So we could also build other warehouses. So we can build. So here in the top, in the bottom, you can see like all the categories. We have farming, builders, which is the building and the mud production. We have the transportation, which is transport, small warehouse, granary, warehouse, and a port for trading. We have these are like the luxury production stuff. So we have the pottery, brewery, of course.
Of course.
course.
We can talk about that as well.
Linen, fabrics, and copper weapon or metallurgy. We have the religions or the temple stuff. So you have the mud temple, small temple which needs bricks, and the ziggurat which needs a shitload of bricks. You also have security.
It's a good old-fashioned reed hut, mud heath. You mean the storage room, the storage house? I think so. Yeah. So the storage house doesn't seem to be the same with construction with like mud bricks on the side.
Which also has a tree inside of it.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
early access, guys.
Keep things fresh.
Yeah. I think it's that reed hut, the mud heath. Yeah. Good spotting. So what do you think, Sebastian, about the reconstruction? You are the reconstruction expert.
Oof.
I have to say, I really also really like this small, very first temple over there.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Let's go for that for a moment. So, I mean, we don't really know, of course, how these very early temples would look like, but what we know, especially from the city of Eridu, where we have this sequence of temples under the ziggurat, we have plenty of temples, one on top of each other, and then we can talk about the ziggurat. But they would have this type of small courtyard around them. Maybe a bit more orthogonal, but maybe not. We're not really sure. I like that it's not as like orthogonal. And there you could have like a small temple, probably a mud brick temple.
So
not round, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, from what we know, it wouldn't be round, right? So usually these courtyards would not be round. But I have my hunch is that maybe these very early ones that we can't really reconstruct would not necessarily be purely orthogonal, but maybe this sort of elliptical on the back. But it's true that they were not around. The ones that we actually have tested, they are not around.
So maybe to go back into the state farm thingies, you can see here in the city overview, or like the people we have, that we have 74 private workers and 66 state workers. So there's 66 people dedicated to the state farms, and the rest is all working in private businesses, to say it like that. So like these private farms, but also these I think are also private owned. And you also have these workshops which are also private. So we can't control these. I mean, we have to put them down because people need stuff. But we can't control what happens with those.
Nice.
Which kind of makes I really like that, because just you have to have them, but you don't really control what's happening in them.
Yeah. And that's also really cool because you would have private like private ownership in that, especially later on in the third millennium and especially in the beginnings of the second millennium. You would have plenty of privately owned stuff, but you would also have a lot of state-owned stuff, and there would be friction often between the state administration and what people wanted to do in their own land.
Of course.
What is that level of damage or spoiled things?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know really what it means, but I think it's something for the food. So we have a lot of food, but like we don't have enough people to like eat it all, I guess. So it like goes bad, which makes sense, of course.
Better than other way around, I guess.
Yeah, but I think that's what it means, but I'm not really sure. So there's some stuff I don't really know, because I've skipped the tutorial. I don't not skip the tutorial. Just, I did the thing I always do. I just click through it and like, I know. Come on.
I actually did the tutorial. It was pretty useful.
Yeah, but I don't think it's really explained in the tutorial, like these spoiled things, right?
No.
And there's no help menu yet.
Let me check if it's on the.
There's a bug reporter, which I really like for an early access game. You can just report the bugs you see in game, which kind of makes sense. That's the whole point of early access, I guess.
Yeah.
Quite fast. We already have 226.
Yeah. So the growth is still is quite quick. So you grow only by immigration, I think, in this game. But there's like
it's not really a way to tell, right?
Yeah.
One thing that's also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And they grow if you like just plunk down more people in these workshops. So if you have more people working in a clay pit, just more people will appear. They will like come sailing in over the river. Maybe you can spot one. It's really funny. Just like people in boats just coming out. Like, hi, I'm here.
So an interesting aspect between these state farms and the privately owned farms is that you get to tax the privately owned farms, but you don't get the grain. But you also are not responsible for feeding them. So
yeah, there's like, where is it? There's some, this one, taxes value in grain.
Yeah.
So
the population that works on the private sector, they have to feed themselves.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, because indeed people working on state works like state farms and like building constructions and stuff would be ratioed grain as payment often. But indeed, if you're running your own thing, you're not getting paid by the state.
Yeah, so I've switched over production of this state field to flax, because I mean we're like literally bathing in grain.
Yeah.
So that's one of the points maybe it's still early access, but it's kind of, I mean, I'm not bad at at city builds, but I'm not like any good at them either. But it's not a hard game, as in it's not too complicated. Especially with like a tutorial, which is kind of good. I mean, Foundation looking at you, there's no tutorial there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a very complicated game. I mean, there's lots of stuff you can click on and lots of stuff you can look at, but you don't really need all this yet.
No, exactly. That's one of the things that I also noted, that because as I've said before, I don't really like all these like too many numbers and too many stuff. But if you would sort of go with the flow, then it works. It sort of happens kind of magically.
Yeah, you don't really. I mean, you could play with the numbers. You could, but you don't need to. I mean,
Yeah.
of course you need to keep an eye on this one.
Although I've never played it in the highest difficulty, so I don't know. Where is the Sumerian beer? Does it appear later?
Well,
No, it's there.
We
can build it, right? We can build
We're
a
kind of
brewery.
running out of space, so.
Yeah, but why did you surround the city with a canal?
I mean, why not?
Because now you have no room to place it.
I mean, I can just place it there.
I mean, the city of Nippur would have one large canal running through it, but it
Okay,
would
I'll
not be
just.
surrounded by the. There you go. Open it
Okay.
up. Because we need walls at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
same problem, right?
Yeah, kind of.
I think we also need a
There
new
we go.
builder workshop because, kind of.
Yeah, build a workshop as well.
I also just started on the walls already. I mean, let's just give us a little bit of.
I mean,
expansion.
Growing space.
Don't start with the walls yet. I don't
They'll
know.
take so long to build.
They do take quite a long time to build.
And
There is
we need to like encompass the whole area, so
Yeah.
we might as well just build them and just get it over with.
There's a very interesting paper out there for those interested in the chat, which probably are not that many, but I'm going to plunk it down anyway.
You never know. You never know.
It's called Building Larsa. Labor Value, Scale and Scope of Economy in Ancient Mesopotamia, written by Seth Richardson from the University of Chicago.
That's a very catchy title.
Yes, actually I used Seth Richardson's calculations for my PhD because I also calculated like building processes and how long does it take to build walls in particular. And that's one of the things that he does. He calculates how many days would be needed for the construction of the wall of Larsa based on like the preparation, the planting of stuff, the maintenance and the harvesting and like everything. He takes into account basically all aspects that have to do with mud brick production and construction, and then brings it there. Makes a sort of a simulation of how it would be built.
Yeah, indeed. What Funky Bum says, I can remember this from your PhD defense.
Yes, exactly. I mentioned it in the PhD defense. The basis for the upcoming age-based mud brick model, yeah, definitely. That is sort of a foundation. There have been plenty of attempts to calculate like mud brick production, and some of them have been experimental. So one very interesting attempt was, I think, by Max Malwan and the Oats, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was from Malwan that sort of tried to do this estimation by building an excavation house for their excavation. And they were like, hey, since we're building a mud brick house for the excavation, let's just make a model of how long does it take for the workers to make it. There was another very interesting case where they reconstructed parts of the wall of Hattusa, but then they made a model based on that part. They constructed the gate and parts of the wall, and it was painfully slow. Like there is no way that people who build with mud brick every single day would be so painfully slow in building a wall. There are some other textual-based analysis based on some text from the Garsana texts, and there is my analysis for the Assyrian walls texts. Assyrian walls. If anybody's
just plug in your own text, yeah, like yeah.
By the way, but yeah, I think we need basically more simulations to check this out. Doc Random says I am at the moment also grading twines for a digital history class I teach, and I just played the twine where I was Jean-Claude Van Damme in the Belgian Revolution. Nice. Not relevant, but nice. By the way, we're having a twine workshop on Friday. I'm gonna put it down in the chat.
I can't make it.
You cannot make it.
No, I have my diploma thing.
Oh, of course.
Without a diploma, because I don't have one.
Muy importante. There we go. If you wanna make a twine, then just follow the link and subscribe for our workshop on Friday.
That name though, Clue Twine.
Loot wine. Yes, this name is owed to our amazing student assistant for the Pastel Play Lab. Lenneke.
Thanks, Angus. Yeah, it's been postponed 4 times, I think, but
Yeah.
Finally happening.
It's been a while.
yeah, don't really see the value in it, but still, I mean, yeah, sure.
Value.
It will be like a gathering of people without jobs, like.
That's really sad.
Yeah. I really like our small kind of tidy city. I think it would. There are a lot of theories about how the cities would start at that point and how they would look. There are even propositions that there is an overarching Oriental model that sort of all Oriental cities follow more or less the same pattern, which has increased zoning, which is the case in our city as well. So the cities would be very strictly divided into different zones. But it's kind of it's nice and cozy. It's gezellig, as we would say in Dutch.
Yeah, I kind of like the. I mean, I don't like. In fact, I like that the grid type of stuff, but it kind of works for this game.
Yeah,
Like, I love how in Foundation you could have like the non-grid stuff, but here it also kind of makes sense because it just looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't also. I mean, when you have the canal, then it makes it look like a grid. But if you don't have the canal, because it has this sort of acanonical construction on the buildings, it doesn't feel like it's a grid. Or at least that was my like when I was. If I play Anno, then I'm like, oh yeah, this is basically a square, and that's it. And here, if you look at it, yeah, eventually it looks like square, but it has this in between the buildings, the small roads that are created and stuff that are not really
We need
roads,
more houses.
but we definitely need more houses.
Yeah, so one thing I don't really like is the fact that you have like these transporters, and you can like give them what do you say priorities. But it's either they get the farming stuff done or they get the building stuff done. It's not like like I just popped them over to like doing all the building stuff, and then they were like not picking up the harvest, which is kind of troublesome because people will die.
Angus is also talking about a different shades, which indeed I think it's very nice that they're going for different shades, because it's also quite impossible to just continuously have exactly the same shade on reed roofs that are sort of reeds mixed with mud.
I mean, it's kind of greenish, but also just kind of like there's variation.
Yeah, and as Sebastian says, they would have their own mixes, but also like maybe you could get patches of places where there was one person who was really good at it and make them. But indeed, they would build these houses themselves. One thing I kind of lack is that there are no holes on the roofs to act as chimneys.
Maybe that's the next.
Maybe it's indeed in the upgraded houses, but I think
because they have like the furnace
trees for it.
Yeah,
they have. I mean,
and they also don't have windows. And I always think that houses probably had windows, even though it's something very hard to prove.
Can we prove this wall had a hole in it?
That guy is just stuck there in his house.
Yeah, this
Where?
Yeah, I can't click him in.
Oh yeah, poor guy is like glitching out.
Let me in, please. Yeah, so these are like typical things of early access games. I mean.
Yeah, that's absolutely excusable, of course.
Party,
That's why they also have an open Discord server. So if you go on Twitter at Sumerian's Game, then you can join their Discord, and the developer who made this is actually extremely good at communicating.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Deku is his nickname. I think, I'm not sure if it's his actual name. Sorry,
that's why it's called Deku
name.
Games, I think. Or
yeah, and it's like really good at discussing stuff over Discord.
We kind of need people to make food again. We're kind of,
Can you see how much they need?
Definitely windows. Otherwise, the fire pit would kill them. Yeah, windows or the chimney, right?
Yeah, but they have like the fire pits outside in these. So there's like this mud thingy, which I think is a fire pit, right? If I'm wrong.
But it's also very common for these cities, especially the early stuff, to catch fire.
It's mud.
So, it's mud indeed, yeah, it would.
And the tunes are so funky. There's only 2, but they're like...
Except for upgrading the houses, is there any other reason why we're building walls?
Not yet. I think probably, maybe in future, there will be something in there seen as though we have this security tab with only one building in them. So, I mean...
Oh yeah, Sebastian is right that this is probably an oven that you were pointing at earlier.
Yeah, makes sense.
On the left there.
Yeah, these things, like these...
Yeah, this could be, this indeed looks like an oven, yeah, very much so.
And this is the...
this is also an
pottery
oven,
workshop.
clearly.
And I think we can sell these potteries in the... Oh, let me just zoom out game. Or score.
This is also kind of a very pink building. Also something that is very nice and very accurate, in my opinion, is that this place, the pottery workshop, has pots on the roof, and they would often store this stuff on the roof.
Easy way to catch rainwater, I mean.
Yeah, that, but also just, space, basically. Just space. And it's often debated, these kind of buildings, whether they would have a second floor or not, and at what point we got second floors. But oftentimes the second floors would just simply be small spaces for storage. It's also very hard to prove, of course, the existence of a second floor, especially in these early buildings.
Especially, yeah, if you only have like the floor plan, I mean. So I think we also need more farms, I guess. Yeah. So the population has like exploded. It's like we're suddenly at 500.
Yeah. What are those symbols like right next to the month?
Right next to the what?
The month, like.
Oh, this one. That's the timeline. So they start harvesting, and then they like harvest.
That's
and
quite
seed.
Cool.
Yeah. So we are like in growing phase now, and almost ripening, and then harvest. Yeah, it's kind of an easy way to keep track on where you are.
Yeah.
So like,
I really like
no,
that.
I'm low on food, but then they're harvesting in 2 months, so.
That's
beautiful
cool.
illustration, by the way, I have to say, on the bottom. Just beautiful. Yeah, this looks so nice. It's a very zen game overall.
Yeah. Which is increased or amplified by the fact that it isn't too hard. It's not really unforgiving or anything, which is kind of...
Yeah.
I like that as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, the approach of city builders being challenging, as in, you are the ruler and you have to figure this out, like, now, is okay, it's one way. I don't find it too proper, but it's a way, of course. But I think this makes so much more sense, because you're not someone, you're just doing this thing, right? There's no quests, there's no...
Yeah.
Like...
We're just building.
Yeah, you're just building. And your personality sort of expressed through the process of city building, but you're not necessarily referred to as the ruler or referred to as the individual. Or...
Yeah, no, the only thing which points at the fact that you're the ruler is the state farms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that, it has to somehow be managed, like somebody has to manage. I'm not sure if that's something that's going to be added later, but let me actually check the frequently asked questions.
Okay, still fit it in there?
No.
There.
Yeah, I could fit on one in, but probably just one then. You can see those walls come closer really quickly. I was like, oh, that's enough space. And suddenly, more out of space. So
to the other side, you have quite some space.
Yeah, I have some space here and also here.
But they walk completely around the canal. I thought they could swim.
There's bridges. But there's some glitches. Sometimes they just walk...
like there, over there, where you're building the wall. Yeah.
Here, yeah. They could also just walk through the wall sometimes. kind of.
That's useful.
Yeah, I mean,
Makes the way a lot shorter.
yeah. Why build walls if you can walk through them, right? I mean. But we're doing fine. I mean, we have quite some food. Are we brewing? We're brewing beer. Of course we are.
How's the quality of life?
The quality of life is meh.
Oh.
There's no more immigrants because we don't have any jobs. Because people are jobless. So we probably want to build some more workshops. Because work fixes everything.
That's how Copperfield is walking through walls. All Sumerian tricks. So one thing that this game is lacking is, of course, any form of competition.
Yeah.
Which indeed, on one hand, it sort of enhances this Zen feeling, and it's also one of the stated design goals of this game. That is, it's a city builder that's focused on urban planning, economy, and resource management. That's basically the description of the game from Deku, explicitly mentioning that there are no wars or attacks and no missions, only sandbox. Which that has, I do agree that it has a lot of appeal as a way of playing. But on the other hand, Sumerian city-states should be in more or less a constant state of conflict between each other and a constant state of competition between each other and cooperation. Of course, there were a lot of cities cluttered around these rivers, and they would argue or compete or ally for resources and for farming spaces. And it's not like they didn't have enough space. There was plenty of space for all the cities. There was no heavy population pressure or anything, but there was a lot of interaction, and there was a lot of trading, and there was a lot of text, and there was a constant, everything was in a constant state of flux. So it sort of removes from the historical accuracy of the game, which I'm not sure to what extent the developer is super concerned with the historical accuracy, because I haven't seen it brought up too much on Discord. But that being said, it's a pretty damn historically accurate game in terms of how it feels.
What do you think, Aris? Would they build a square wall around it? Would they go for the square form?
No, we don't really. We do have walls, but they are not always or necessarily square. A lot of the cities were not pre-planned. They have a natural growth, right?
Yeah.
So, and because of this natural growth, they would grow acanonically. And then when they decided to build walls, they would have to encompass the city as it existed. So it often ended up just not being not being straight.
That's the problem, I think, with all city builders, right? The fact that we're now planning stuff which didn't really happen.
But Roman pre-planned cities would love this. Especially with the 4 gates.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also my gamer thing to do. It's something you're
secretly a Roman.
But that's I mean, my second name is Roman Emperor.
I feel like it comes naturally. Also, in games like Age of Empires, you would always be like, "Oh, let me build this wall kind of straight." It would be a bit frustrating if you couldn't build it straight.
But it's also frustrating if you can't you could also just have a band here, or here, or here.
Yeah, but I like straight walls. We see indeed just what you said, Corinne, in pre-planned cities later on, like the Assyrian capitals. We do have more regular walls that are sort of rectangular, and even then not always, because Nineveh is hardly rectangular.
Indeed, Angus, if your second name is Roman Emperor, you know everything. Yeah. Oh, I wish.
What about can you build a second city? You can.
No,
you can't build a second city, but you can.
You could, in theory, just build another city here, but I don't think there's trading in between them.
And they're not two cities, right? So that you don't get two different UIs. It's one city, just
but they could function independently from each other, I think.
Yes.
So that's different from for example, in Foundation, where you have the city center.
Yeah.
The city center is the actual city center, so there you can't place more than one city center. But here, this small warehouse is not your city center; it's just the first warehouse you have. We also have 42 flags stolen this year. Damn rascals.
Yeah. So in a way, you could have micro centers within your city if you build multiple warehouses,
Yeah. So
right?
I don't think the warehouses
But
shall. But for example, like these farming hubs, you can see that they have a range. So we can't
yeah,
fully
exactly.
work this field, so we needed to build another one. And the same goes for the transporters and the builders. They have a range. So
Yeah.
you're kind of also, because of this game mechanic, you also need to like expand or just build another city somewhere, or just have a second city center just because you need to build more transporters.
But like all your other parameters, like population and stuff, would not count as two different. It would still count as your
still
one
count as one,
overarching
I think.
population. Yeah.
I don't think there's like no.
I also like this concept of range. I think it works really well in the game. Like each building has an effective range, and you have to do a little bit of min-maxing. But
I like how it shows the range. There's so many games which have range and just don't show it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know it's there, but you just like eyeballing it, like, well, maybe it's something like, yeah, it should be.
Although it is weird that the range is circular and the map is a grid.
It would also feel weird if it was not like.
I mean, it makes sense because the people will only walk a certain distance from the center point. If it would be like square, it's kind of weird that they would walk farther like there than there.
Yeah, in the corners.
I mean, if it was a square, it would be kind of weird. Like a Pharaoh series where the range is just where people walk to. Yeah.
If I walk, it's range.
I mean, I think it's in Banished where people can like be tired enough or just get hungry and walk to their work or to their home. It's like, yeah, but how should I know? I don't know.
I hate that when it happens, or when you plan out something and you didn't realize it was quite that far, and then they freeze to death while going there.
Like, damn. Let me just grab some more to drink. Hold on.
You do that.
You just let it play. I mean, we're just waiting for them. Wall to finish.
It's a very nice view of the city, but yeah, we're waiting. I mean, these walls would take some time, right? You don't.
But I'm amazed because we can see we're in year 12, and I think by year 15 we have from absolutely nothing, we have this huge wall, and we have over 650 people.
Yeah,
that's quite a growth.
It is quite a growth. I don't think it's necessary. It's obviously unreasonable in terms of the fact that people grew up so so quickly.
I mean, we're in year 12. I mean,
Trumpets forgot it. I mean, very good point. But I also think, like, in terms of if you have a full-blown population city, these type of constructions, like the wall being built within about 10 years, is correct. Is actually pretty spot on.
Yeah, but the population growth at the beginning of when a city is built is, I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's optimistic.
Yeah, I think it's more about attracting the population rather than people giving birth, obviously. And it wouldn't be super weird that they would attract population.
I mean, they did come from other cities, I guess. So from other cities.
We're not. Are we trading with?
We can. We're not yet, but you can build the trade port.
So like people wouldn't really.
Yeah, but trading is something which is kind of complicated in this game. I mean, it's there, but it's kind of that's pretty rough around the edges still. At least I
also because you're just trading with the algorithm, right? There is no.
Yeah, there's no like other. Yeah. But I mean, that's in many city builder games. You're just trading with something which is not on the map, in the sense.
What are those three like green and yellow flower?
These.
They're. Yeah.
That's the reputation, quality of life, and demand. So they're like the three. So they're like
things.
These have three categories. So you have the city reputation, the quality of life, and demand. So you can see here if like everything is good. So if the amount of one of these goes up, this will become yellow.
Yeah.
So you know to look at them. So you can also see here reputation. The higher the reputation you have, the more people want to live in the city. The same goes for quality of life.
Yeah. Such a slick design, though.
Yeah.
The UI is still, oh my god.
And it's also so uncluttered. I love it. It's so
Yeah.
it's you can see what's going on. You don't need any more info. You don't need stuff popping up everywhere. Like the entire top of my screen is empty.
Exactly, right?
I could just
like
put you there and just don't worry about you covering anything.
I think the top bar missing is just mind-bogglingly good. Like because you're so used to having a top bar that has some of the resources or the main resources and the menu bar and stuff. But no, fuck that. You don't need it. Just everything on the bottom.
Yeah, you can even like pull them up with the F keys. So F1 is this one. But what does really bother me is the fact that you like if you click the mouse, nothing happens. That's something I'm really getting used to, or just used to in general. That when you click the mouse, like this menu pops up. Because this is the menu you use more often, the most, because that's the one you build stuff with. But that's just me. I mean, I'm kind of picky.
Yeah, but I just like this. Like this, you get these popping windows, which is fine. I think they're placed in proper locations. I think they pop up from the you select something and on the bottom bar, and then it pops something else up that you can very easily close. Like it's just a nicely done UI, like all in all.
And that's what I like, nicely done UIs.
And also all the designs are very clear what everything is. Like you have the matrix, it's very characteristic. Right? It doesn't have words, which I really like. No popping numbers, no.
Yeah, you can have like you can turn certain stuff on, so you can turn these on. I don't really know what these mean. I honestly don't know.
Useful.
But of course, like these ones are kind of useful, like knowing how far construction is. So I think this corner is too far away from any of our transporters.
Yeah, I think so.
So
as
you'd
well.
see, they
so
just
they
won't
need a
transport
second
the
one.
bricks there. We need a third one.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're not going. We're just not transporting these bricks over there.
That's a builder.
This is as far as I go, carrying 20 bricks on my back.
Transporter. I thought
There's 1 foot further. Not going there.
Yeah.
I built another transporter, right?
Beautiful mud bricks you have there. It would be a shame if nobody could carry them to your wall.
There's this one house.
Yeah.
I mean,
guy chilling.
Yeah.
He likes isolation.
Like, it's exactly
oh
the
no.
Which is outside of the.
See, but is this inside or outside of a square? Like unclear.
But we can fix that by building another one. I mean, let's just build one here.
And it's not unlikely that people would be frustrated with work and be like, ain't happening. Like we have this image of the.
It just seems like a bit weird to just like leave the final bit.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
So
you're not paying me enough for this.
So here we have the immigrants just walking towards the city.
There they are.
That's nice.
Welcome. And they're
like,
carrying their little square boxes.
Oh, can I click on one of them? Migrants going to the city.
There you go. Welcome.
And then they immediately turn into a citizen.
I think when they get a house.
Yeah, I'm just gonna follow them. I'm not really sure where they go. Like a foundation, they would go to the city center, but I don't think they do here.
Maybe to the first warehouse you built.
So what is the Angus asks? What is the purpose of the city and what the wall?
Yeah.
And it generates authority, I think.
For now it is. Yeah.
So if you don't have authority, then people can refuse to pay taxes.
Yeah. So for like the houses. You see, they need to upgrade. They need the mud wall, and they need walls. They need land value medium, order access high, security none.
Yeah.
This is what they have now, and for this upgrade, you just need a wall. But for the next upgrade, for example, they need security.
Yeah.
You can have security by building these guard posts.
So basically, what you do indeed with the walls is just authority, making people pay taxes, and people feel safer to build better houses.
Yeah. Which
and also
makes
another.
Sense, I mean.
Yeah. And like that small house over there at the very far corner, if it didn't have the wall, it would very easily like not pay taxes because it's far away from the center. It's not administered. So it has this sense that you need to be monitoring everything to make sure that everybody pays their fair share. Another thing you cannot build without a wall is the ziggurat.
No, and for that you even need the upgraded walls.
Yeah, and you need, I think, a closed wall for the ziggurat in particular.
You need the closed wall for these as well. So the entire area needs to be enclosed by a wall.
Yeah, which
Are they
is
still not getting the? Are they still not getting the mud there?
Yeah, they are.
Are they too far away from the mud otherwise?
Yeah, so we now need a transporter which transports stuff between. So you see these priorities here. So we now actually need a transporter which I think we just need another storage building because these are too far away from mud. We could also just, you know what we could do? Plunk down the mud. Hey.
Yeah, just do that.
Angus says in reality, ziggurats were also found outside of enclosed cities, right? No, they were not found outside of enclosed cities. They were always within enclosed spaces.
I'm just building a granary outside of the walls. Shh, don't tell anyone.
I mean, the granary is fine if you build it outside of the wall. But the ziggurat, usually it was within the city and it was in itself enclosed within walls. Or like not necessarily really big walls, but an enclosed space anyway.
I think it is. Oh, it's not in the game. The
it's
small
a very
temple
nice,
is, but this one isn't.
Yeah, so you need you really need the mud temple. The small. You need all temples, I think, to be able to build the ziggurat, or no?
No, I can build it, but I just don't have the. You can see how it looks. It's kind of.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's a
so
huge chunky boy.
But you don't need the upgraded walls. You just can do it with the small brick walls.
No, we need like I can't plunk it down because I need the brick wall and authority. Like it says
the brick
here.
wall you have, right?
No, this is the mud wall.
No, it's a mud wall.
Oh, right.
So I can plunk this down when like this gap is closed.
Can you put it on top of the old temple? No.
I probably need to destroy this one.
That would be very authentic.
This is something I like. I kind of don't like about these kinds of games. Also, Foundation that is you can't like just upgrade this temple to a brick temple. You either need to like destroy it, or just build it somewhere else, which also doesn't really kind of make sense. I mean, why would you like build this one over here when you have this prime spot over there?
Yeah.
Can you click briefly on the temple?
This one?
Yeah, so on the bottom left over there of the buying artifacts for the inside of the temple.
Yeah.
The icons that you see is actually from what is known as the Tel Asmar Hoard. The Tel Asmar Hoard was a collection of statues that was unearthed at a city called Esnuna, which is modern day Tel Asmar. That's why it's called the Tel Asmar Hoard. It was inside a temple, or a temple structure anyway. And they were probably we're not really sure exactly what they were, but the drawing is exactly that. Like some of the statues from the Tel Asmar Hoard. Probably they were dedications of worshippers who could not themselves enter the sacred part of the temple, or some sort of devotions of themselves in a praying position. So they always have their hands like this or like this. So probably as a continuous, prayer to the god. And we have male and female worshippers there, sitting and standing, and of various sizes as well.
Cool.
If you want to see them, they are at the Iraq Museum in Baghdad, which you probably cannot go right now. But if you ever,
I mean, even without the pandemic, maybe.
Oh, you could.
So is that bubble happening or no? Oh yeah, now I can see that.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. We're doing this. Yes.
It is all happening.
So would they actually have multiple like mud pits, or would they just make one bigger one?
It depends. Because after a certain size, you cannot have too many people working in that one. And if you would like locally produce your clay, you would need more than one pit to to work at the same time, it just increases production. So even in much earlier sites, like even in like Neolithic sites, so thousands of years earlier, we often see multiple mud pits next to each other. So it's very likely that there would be multiple.
You could work around this transport issue when having, like what I should have done is plunk a warehouse here in the middle. So they'd bring the mud to the warehouse, and then from the warehouse, these people would pick it up. But it's like these standard city building economy stuff. You could either go directly from the source or build like a chain with warehouses. I mean, all the space of the warehouse is like taken up by grain. But that's why we're building this.
And some pottery. We have 84 pottery.
Yeah, so like they build a lot of pottery. And I think that's what you want the docks for. You could trade them off, but pottery is kind of, which makes sense. Pottery is not that expensive because I mean, everyone could make it. I mean, you could just dig it up. But the wall is almost done. We're almost there.
So in the website of the game, there is a roadmap for features planned to be included before becoming a finished game. I'm not sure how many of these were added recently or not, and whether the site was completely updated. So fishing, I don't think it's there yet.
Nope, not yet.
But it will be there.
Yeah, husbandry and
husbandry. Production change related to husbandry. A lot more houses apparently, and variation in buildings, which would be amazing. Higher level walls, more ornamentation, higher level of housing zoning in hillsides, a palace, which indeed is missing, and it's very unfortunate that the palace is missing because it's a crucial part of a city. Auction cards, land trade, more imports, improved building management, more stats, bigger temples apparently.
More temples.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's not. Is it done? No, it's not completely done. It still needs some like mud chucked at the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also stuff with all these trees. I mean, there's lots of trees. You don't really use them.
Yeah, you don't really do anything with the trees, right?
But like I said before, like you could build these canal bridges without them being built. So that's something I think they want to put in as well sometime. Oh, we're done. So now the city is completely.
Perfect. Oh, look at that! It's quick.
And now they're all upgrading.
Look at them upgrading.
So there's more. I'd like a little bit more.
This also feels more appropriate. So for the early stage kind of villagey, large village type of construction, like plan we had, it made sense with the reed roofs. But this for a city is more probably a little bit more appropriate.
Oof, we're not doing so great on food.
Still have quite a lot, right? 2,000.
Yeah, but we now have 1,000 people almost.
Yeah. So let's plunk down some more.
I think in many ways this game, that goes mostly for Angus in the chat, this game is really like the modern day Hammurabi game, because it's really about it's an economy management. That's about it.
But that's like most city builders are economy management games, right?
Yeah, but as we said before, some of them have like conflict in there. Some have all sorts of like missions and stuff. This is you build a city, you manage its economy, and that's it. That's bare bones economy management as it goes. And yeah, I guess like if Hammurabi would be made now, yeah, indeed, it's the spiritual successor. You also you manage one city, not many cities. People come and go, like you get people in or you lose people because they die, which is exactly the same mechanic. So basically it's taking all the same mechanics and just updating them to 2020.
So do we want to like pull down this mud temple and put the second temple in there?
I mean, it's sticking with the historical authenticity. They would build their temples on the same space. They had a very conservative architectural approach. So yes.
I've also found the keys to rotate the buildings. But
Yeah,
looking
very
for
nice.
that for like ages. It needs 120 bricks. But I think we have those.
Except for the fact that it would be more in line with Hammurabi if you would maybe have a narrative that spoke directly towards you. Indeed. But I kind of like that it doesn't. But yeah, indeed, if it was like very directly referencing it. And I think if... So again, I don't know to what extent that person is like some kind of Sumerian history buff or not. Or whether it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, that's what I'm gonna make. Maybe. I honestly don't know. But I think if you have someone who's very much interested in the history aspect of it, then they would throw in all these like, okay, if you play this city, you have this king, and if you play this city, you have this king. So maybe.
Also, something I really like is the fact that you can make your own roads.
Ah, yeah, this is very nice. I did it so much when I was playing. It feels like photoshopping roads.
But yeah.
How is our beer production doing, by the way?
Where can we actually get it?
We have lots of beer.
Then give it to people. Just
yeah. I think these transporters could use some beer.
Yeah, it is a very relaxing game indeed. Like you just sit there and you just click away and you see.
But I mean, I've been running this on 4-speed now, and it's really a game where you can get away with just running it on 4-speed all the time and just literally alt tabbing.
Like in the beginning, I had it in like the first in the normal speed.
I mean, even if you speed up games, I mean,
oof. Yeah, I don't know. In the normal speed, I was like, why is this everything going so slowly? People walk. Come on.
That's relaxed.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
So now we have drunk transporters running around with donkeys.
Our city reputation is in shambles.
Yeah, because I destroyed the temple.
Oh yeah, we destroyed the temple, right? Right.
It's being built. We're getting there. I like also how, like, you can see it being built.
Yeah.
I really like when games do that, when it's just not there, but you can see it in production.
You'd think... Ah, there it is.
Yeah, it's done.
It is done.
So we want the clay things again. We also can have them have fabrics. Doesn't really say what, but we don't have fabric production yet. Maybe we should do that as well. Come on, zoom out.
Do we need the flags for that? Or?
Yeah, so we need one of those state farms to produce flags. So I think we can switch one over.
We have a lot of food.
But it's kind of you could see it was kind of fluctuating all the time.
You see, like, all those people going back to their houses.
I like this stuff. You can see the grain fluctuations, like going down and up and going down and up.
Very natural.
Look at all that pottery.
Yeah, so much pottery. Pretty steady production of pottery. And pretty
yeah.
It is not so steady.
But bricks. Those are like these. Like floop. It's going up.
Yeah, because we've just been steadily
state workers, jobless. Jobless.
Weird.
Crime, kind of low. Immigrants. We do have births in the city.
We do have births.
We also have deaths. So it's in there. It's just not really in there. You don't see it.
I mean, you don't see it as a fact, but population, like we have such an influx of people from migrants, I think, that we just don't notice the death rates right now. If we were, I think, on a higher difficulty, or if you were not managing it as well.
I mean, I've played the normal, which is the highest difficulty you could get now, it's still not too bad. It's not like you feel or anything. It's less relaxing. I mean, you can just do this without actually paying attention.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't really do in the normal set, but still, it's doable.
No, but I think, as you said, like, you can just do things and then it works, sort of. So basically, every city I've built, I try to make it a little bit aesthetically pleasing for my eye, or make some nice walls, or like imitate the city that I know of from archaeology and stuff like that. But everything goes a bit on autopilot.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, we could use some autopilot games. I mean,
yeah. Not everything needs to be Dark Souls level difficulty.
Nope, definitely not.
Can you already like plan down some new what did it called here, like production things?
I mean the citizen workshops. Yeah, we could.
No, I mean the like, are we making cloth, or what is this called?
Yeah,
here?
that's what I just did. The fabrics.
Oh, okay.
And
what kind of things do we still not possess here in our beautiful city?
We don't have the warehouses yet, so we might want to plunk down one of those as well. Just why not? We also don't have the metallurgy because we need to trade copper, because I don't think there's mines in the game yet. Something they'll probably add as well.
So we need also a trading.
Yeah, we could build that, but
a port.
I don't really
here,
feel
right?
that trading is the way to go yet. I've not really got down to trading. It's kind of iffy where there's like this one sweet spot. Like, this is sweet spot. Now it doesn't work. It works. Doesn't work. It's
What do we need metal for? For the upgrading, or?
Yeah, so you can upgrade the guard posts with better weaponry.
And then people will feel even more safe, or will the zone expand?
Yeah, so the security goes up. So this is something which is not really in the game yet, but if they need higher security, I think they need better walls and stuff. But that's something which is not the game. Is Ares still there, or is he just frozen?
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely I'm just zoning, like, I'm just sort of zoned out with the movement, like, it's a little bit
Yeah, my scroll is kind of broken, so it's kind of
no, it's I was zoned out with the movement of the people. So when it comes to migrants in actual 3rd millennium Mesopotamia, where would people be coming from?
Other cities, I guess.
Yeah, other cities, or simply pastoral populations that they would sort of not necessarily always live in the city, but like per season live in the city. So you wouldn't necessarily have very stable populations, but you could have like over like a period where it's not good for moving around your cattle. You would have a higher population within the city, and then another period you would have more. Also, you would have traders that would move between cities, and maybe they would have, especially in the early 2nd millennium, when you have Assyrian traders, in some trade hubs, you would even have like 700 traders that would come and go.
That's a lot.
Yeah, right. So, and they would have houses there even. So that's there was a bit of a fluctuation in the populations. So it's not migrants per se, it's just people. And that would be cool to put in this game, waxing and waning population based on herding season traders visits. Yeah, exactly. That would be very nice. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it can be done. Explain more. So, hey, thanks for joining. It's very nice for you to be here. Please hop around whenever you have the time. Always good to have you around.
I really like this view when they're like building the this
Yeah, the
warehouse.
kennels.
So can you zoom in on that building a little bit more now that it's like without a roof?
Yeah, it was just like I like how they can see the different. So this is the warehouse where they like put stuff.
Yeah.
So not food, but like products.
So this house has the building as it is now has bummer. And now it actually doesn't do it anymore that much because anyway. So there's a very characteristic style of architecture in these early cities called the tripartite architecture. And tripartite because it had three parts really. So it would have a central corridor, a long room where the hearth would be, and then rooms on the sides or magazine for other type of activities or for storage. And this is called also the Mittelsaal house in German. In Near Eastern archaeology, you have a lot of German terminology. And it sort of originates from an earlier period that it was used as some kind of central building for maybe extended families, and it gradually evolved into temples, or it gradually evolved into palaces. And it's very similar to that building that we saw, if the first part was also roofed. So a lot of central buildings would actually have this central long room, and on the sides magazines or places for food processing or for weaving or for storage or other kind of activities. And then in the middle, you'd have a hearth, or in the case of a temple, an altar or a shrine. If you want to know more, come to Leiden. I teach about this stuff 6 months a year.
Oof. What happened with the town? I mean, yeah, it's back again. So something I don't really know for sure yet, but I think which happens also is that like these workers, these farms weren't worked pretty well. So they were like only 26% seeded, whereas these were like almost. This one's at 0 as well. Why are you at 0? So I think we just don't have enough farm workers. Kind of makes sense.
And the other 6 months I
we're
play
getting,
games,
like,
exactly.
130 people coming in.
Only 6 months? Come on, you play more than 6.
I mean, the teaching and the playing of games sort of
kind of
mixes at some point. Yeah. So we're building this board, but we really can't do too much with it, right?
You can trade. You can.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of trade would actually happen via land and not via the river.
But as you already told, that's something which is not in the game yet.
Yeah.
It's also, we don't really produce that much of value in this city. I mean, we have the pottery and we have the fabrics. It's not like...
Actually, fabrics would be the main export for these cities in southern Mesopotamia, where we are. One of their main exports would be textiles, and they would trade it to the north, and they would bring in tin, which actually we do import tin in this game to mix it with copper, because in fact there were no local tin. There was no local tin production, so they would import it from the north or from the east, and they would in exchange give out a lot of textiles, and particularly colored textiles.
So that's what we're doing here as well. They're like fabrics dyeing.
Yeah, exactly. Fabrics dyeing was a very important aspect of.
But would they trade the fabrics between cities in the same region? Probably not, right? I mean,
maybe some cities would be specialized in a particular type of weaving or color that others wouldn't, or they would have access to particular resources that would be associated with the production of one color over another, and then to some extent maybe.
We have the trade port here.
Nice.
And this is the point where I was like, okay, I kind of need. This is too much for me. I mean, I like it, but it's too much.
Yeah.
Fiddling
Also,
with the buttons and stuff.
Yeah, this gets too deep into the min-maxing stuff.
So this is something I wouldn't really. I mean, you don't need it. I mean, you could use with I think when in future there's like more states of buildings and stuff, you probably need this because you don't really have the local copper or tin supplies, so you need to trade those. But for now, it's not really that important. But I could see in the future this becoming more important.
But it is actually very historically accurate. As in, it has all these standards of trading, like, it has a specific sell value and a specific buy value. And okay, in this case, it seems like all the buy value is like higher than the sell value, of course, which also doesn't, from a historical point of view, doesn't make sense. I get that it's like the mechanic that works that way, but actually there was a sense of value in all sorts of materials, and it was also fluctuating based on availability and demand. So, for example, we have these texts. We have a text that talks about textiles that says there's this guy who wants to buy like textiles from the north. He wants to buy textiles. He's on the north and wants to get textiles from the south. And he says Acadian textiles are not available or very expensive right now. If they do arrive before the winter, if it's possible to make a purchase which allows you a profit because he's buying for a friend, he says, we will buy it for you. And then later on in a different text says, for the 2 minas of silver that you sent me, quantity of silver, and since the trade of Acadian textiles has been affected by other factors, I haven't sent you any. And if the trade of Acadian textiles does not become normal again, I will actually buy something else with the silver that you gave me, because buying Acadian textiles doesn't make sense right now. So there was a lot of market forces there, in a way.
Yeah, but you can see like
complaining about the Sumerian quotum.
Yeah, but you cannot see that here actually, because all the sell value and buy value is like. Yeah. I mean, you can sort of balance it.
Off.
What really bothers me the fact that buy and sell is the wrong way around. You see where I'm getting from? I'd have the sell value on the left because that's stuff you have, and the buying on the right.
I see.
So this is what I did wrong the first time. I was like, why am I not buying this stuff?
I can relate. But it's not all that is 10% off, right? Or is it all that is 10% off?
I thought it was all 10% off.
Maybe it's all 10% like, yeah, all of it is indeed. You're right.
Yeah, it is.
Bummer.
It's just the
maybe if you refresh it. Or maybe it's just the current state of the game because it's early access.
I mean, you could change this probably. It's somewhere in a text file, I guess.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
So there's also these ships like coming to the port, but there's nothing for you here. Go away.
It's nice.
Shoo.
There are still nice ships.
Let's see if I can like zoom in on one.
When we could still be within 1.5 meters and we could do MDA, SYMCA. Oh yeah, that was such a fun intro.
What?
Oh, look at that.
Are you talking about doing the mechanics, dynamics, aesthetics in my...
Yeah, so basically when we with Anders, when we streamed the Hammurabi, we did the MDA in a YMCA style.
Oh, I should have done that for my thesis. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I still like to see the ships just like coming around. So you have this idea that there's a bigger world out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a. I mean, I get it, but it's, and it's also you have to think that there's one person making this game, right? So it's
really?
not like this.
Is it one person?
I think so.
Oh wow!
I think it's one person. Let me actually check.
So all these houses you're now plunking down, those will not be upgraded, right?
Yeah, but these are just the farm people, so I mean.
Forget about farm people.
Yeah, it bothers me that they're not like seeding all these fields. I don't know why they're not. That's just annoying me. Why are you not?
Give them their own private mid-brick wall.
So it says here the Kumanus Games is a solo developer from Spain working on the game Sumerians.
Oof.
So yeah, it's just one person doing all of this and releasing all the patches, in quite a quick turnout, I must say. So props to Deku for being able to make this game
Yeah, they're like, wee farms, yay! Come on, seed it. Come on, you want it?
Oh no, they're just carrying things around.
Yeah.
Oh, this is better. Yeah, this is better. Yeah. You just need a little bit of encouragements. Come on, zoom out, you.
Come on, you.
Yeah,
You
so
need
my
a new
scroll
mouse.
wheel is kind of effed. It's
What
like
kind of mouse do you even have?
I have a Logitech G403, but it probably could do with a good
G3
cleaning.
is a solid but old mouse.
I mean, does the job. It's better than what I had before. So I mean,
Can't imagine.
but I really need it for. I mean,
Playing.
Yeah, you
games,
don't play
going
shooters.
out.
I don't really. No, I don't. So, and the shooters I play, I don't play shooters with a controller. So, I mean, the last game I played a shooter with my it was Battlefield, but that was with Angus and Vincent. So I mean,
You had people to carry you,
Yeah.
so to speak.
well, we had Vincent carrying us, and then it was
Yeah. Are we gonna build a ziggurat?
I don't think we'll make it.
Come on. You said
well,
you
yeah, but
speed run it.
I wasn't allowed to speedrun it. I mean,
But now we're not making it to the ziggurat, and I wanted to talk about the ziggurat. Such a bummer.
But what you could do,
We require
if you
more
really
ziggurat.
want to see a ziggurat,
Yeah.
is I do this.
Oh, and you open up your own game.
Yeah, I think I have a one with ziggurat. Let's see, can I?
Let's see.
It's 1700. Let's see.
I think it's this one.
City. Lovely, lovely.
I
name
mean,
for
I'm
it.
good with
Lovely
names.
name.
You know that, right?
Great name. I'm playing a city builder game. How am I gonna save my game?
City. I mean, am I wrong?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We don't do fancy names. Let's hope the recent patch
Like
hasn't
the
like.
Metropolis or something.
Let's hope the recent patch hasn't like effed this over. But
Oh right. I don't think so. I think he said that the new patch is actually compatible. Let me check very quickly.
yeah, it is. It
Oh,
works.
look
okay.
at that.
Wow. Look at this thing.
It does kind of get a little bit of frame drops at this.
Yeah, that
size.
might have to do with
I have
this.
3,000 people living in the city, and like you can see upgraded houses as well.
Yeah, these houses definitely have a second floor.
With a hole in the roof and like windows and stuff.
Yeah.
But
These houses have everything. These are the actual.
ziggurat.
The ziggurat is impressive as fuck.
It's pretty big. I mean,
It's huge.
It is huge, and it should be huge because the ziggurats were really big. Although it's weird because they are usually within these enclosed spaces, and you had a lot of houses around you in the city. So to actually see the ziggurat from within the city, you would have to get pretty up close to it, which is very counterintuitive in a way to what one would expect. But talking about ziggurats, of course, the ziggurat is, as per usual when it comes to ziggurats, the ziggurat of Ur. What were ziggurats used for? So ziggurats were temples. Ziggurat is the entire construction, is this series of platforms, superimposed solid platforms of gradually smaller size, and then at the top you have a shrine, and only on one side you would have a staircase that would lead you to that shrine, so it wouldn't be around, just to one side. And actually, in a lot of these cases, especially ziggurats that were built to be ziggurats, because a lot of them are the early ones are results of a conservative architecture. So you have a temple, and then they build a temple on top of it, and they build another temple on top of it, made a platform, built another temple, and so on, and then eventually resulted into a ziggurat. No, it's not hollow. So eventually someone was like, actually, I want a ziggurat for my city, but I don't have the time, the hundreds of years to build temples one on top of each other. So they commissioned a ziggurat that was done by King Ur-Nammu. And the ziggurat of Ur, which is the one that we're actually seeing here, the ziggurat of Ur, built at the end of the 3rd millennium BC, so around 2100 BC. And that one, and a lot of these commissioned ziggurats are actually filled with just rubble. So it's sun-dried mud brick around it, and sun-dried mud brick inside it with rubble. And the facing oftentimes would also have fired mud bricks in some cases to look better. So they would put sun-dried on the inside to make the shape, fill it with rubble, put mud bricks around it, create these widely spaced buttresses. So these large buttresses with large gaps and other buttresses and so on. And then they will have like the early ones, usually 2 or 3 platforms, and then on top of the 3rd platform there would be a temple. We don't really know of that decoration that it shows in here necessarily, even though in later ziggurats we do have decorations and we do have more glazed mud bricks. These mud bricks would not necessarily be colored. Although the temple at the top sometimes could be. We have a case where we have a white temple on top, so a white plastered temple in the city of Uruk, which must have looked hella impressive because with all this white plaster it would reflect a lot of light, so it would really be like the temple at the top is sort of shining, which would be very impressive to look from afar. These lions are pretty neat, but also they wouldn't be there. Also, you didn't have flower pots and stuff, or we haven't found any anyway, but it doesn't really make sense to have this type of plants. Yeah, these lions with the blue hats and stuff are a little bit anachronistic. They belong to later periods, but from an aesthetic point of view, it looks nice. And overall, it's a nice reconstruction.
And this Sumerian logo thingy.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't get such a logo, of course, but it's a nice, like with all the artistic liberties that were taken here to make it look better, it's a very nice reconstruction.
And I like how imposing it looks. It's like,
yeah.
I think all the other temples are in there as well. So here you have the mud temple.
Yeah.
And where's the other? I think the other one's in there as well, somewhere. Must be.
What a huge city.
Yeah,
well,
this
really
is
within city walls.
my first city, so.
It's great. It's great. And it actually, like, so it looks very good in terms of how such a city would look. If you could have, for example, that ziggurat, if it would face the city inwards.
Yeah,
and
this was before I found out that you could rotate buildings with the key. So I was like frustrated. Why can't I want to rotate this ziggurat? Why can't I like place it another way? But
oh, look at the city gates. They're also really nice.
But also you would need a double courtyard, so a wall around your ziggurat, and then another wall.
Yeah,
another courtyard
but you could do that in game, as in you could build another wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think this city is more of a naturally grown city, as in I just started building here.
Yeah.
So I think this is this is where I plunked down my first warehouse, I think, or here. Doesn't really matter, but I was like, I was building this wall, and I was like, okay, I'm already running out of space. Let's build another one. And I knew that you needed like these walls for the upgraded building, so I just built these walls first. So this was all still mud brick, as you can see. They're still upgrading them over here.
But you can take down this in between walls if you want to, right?
Yeah, not yet, because these aren't finished.
Mm.
So if these aren't finished, then if I tear down these walls, all this will, I think...
The entire thing will go away?
Yeah.
Shit. Would the fields be inside the walls? Not necessarily, no. In some cases you would have some fields because of the natural growth of cities, but then eventually no.
But that is something which really I think is down to games like these, because it happens to me in like I think all games where you can build walls. It happens in Dawn of Man. It happens in Banished. Eventually you build, because that's how you build a city. I mean, you plunk down the first, the small warehouse, and then you build the fields nearby, and then eventually you'll Of course, you build the wall around, but you don't go to the extent to like placing all the fields outside of the walls, because that means the people have to walk all the way, and they probably won't do that.
Yeah, this has a cost effectiveness approach to it that is really not like the maximizing efficiency of stuff. We have a very capitalistic way of thinking about this, that it needs to maximize production at all times, which is not necessarily the case. And also, it's just not good to have these fields within the city, like so
it
close
takes
to the
space
wall.
as well. I mean,
it takes a space from you have to make longer walls to protect your population, which it is not cost effective, so it doesn't make sense also from the cost effectiveness point of view. And you have these large walls close to your fields. In this case, they would create shade. They wouldn't allow the natural environment for these fields to grow properly.
And also this, literally, like just the. Yeah, I can see that the update I think has messed about with the canals a little bit, because they're a little bit.
Yeah, they look Minecrafty.
Or like when you load up the 3D terrain in Google Earth.
Yeah,
That's how it looks. But I do like the look of these walls.
Yeah, they look very nice.
They look kind of Lego-like, but not necessarily. But
I mean, that's exactly the same way that we build our walls on for our reconstruction of Nineveh.
There's this one piece of mud wall.
Yeah, it's like, you forgot to upgrade me.
Yeah, but as you can see, you're like,
nausea.
Like at least half of the city is just fields.
Yeah, but it's so impressive, and I've seen on the Discord server they often post a lot of their creations, so you have a screenshot section where you can see cities. Oh my god, some people are building some shit, man. They're building some amazing cities.
I think this is what this game is really good at. I mean, this is like my first city I built. So in one city you could do this, so it's not that hard, and I really like that. It's not too hard. It's kind of easy. Like, you can just do this. You can build the ziggurat because that's what people want to build. I mean,
yeah, true. But I saw somebody build a city who made it to 15,000 citizens.
Oof.
15,000, like insane. Like how? 15,000 citizens, 50,000 grains, and no state-owned farms.
Really? Is that even possible?
Apparently.
Okay, that's next project I'm gonna build on. Indeed, Mr. Omar, just tear down these walls. That's exactly what I was thinking of when I said that.
Look at that highway you created.
My way or the highway?
These, like the,
Look at all these people coming and going.
Oh, that's where the people come from. Oh, I haven't seen this yet. Wow. This is new. They're just like living outside, just like, hi.
Yes, but this is also extremely historically accurate. Like you could have these major like city centers, but around them you would have hundreds of these tiny, like not even villages, just clusters of like 4, 5, 6 houses.
But I think this is what happens when you don't have enough housing in the city. They live outside of the city.
Yeah. Tutorial areas, got it. Yeah, exactly. Before you get to Orgrimmar, you have to go to Barons.
It's like, here you start with the first quest and then you can see the ziggurat in the distance, but you're not going there just yet.
It's also scary. But then you go and it's actually not that scary anymore.
Until you
then
get
you're
stabbed.
Like a level 100 hyper buffed and you don't care about it.
You can also see here how I messed up the trading. I think. No, I did it right. But why would I want it? But never mind. It's just, it bugs me that they're the wrong way around. It just bugs me. Do you want to go back to the other city, or you just want to look at more of this?
No, yeah, let's go back. We have a few more minutes to go, so let's go back to the
original.
I
should have saved it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Stream.
It's just so clear, Omar. city and stream. It's
I mean,
City and
I've given
stream.
them names. I mean, I could
It's
also just have done like
on point though.
on
On
my
point.
keyboard and
On point. Very nice.
you start as a level 1 villager and have to level up to the ziggurat to become the
Yeah.
ziggurat. You actually become it.
You actually become you. Yeah. Nice.
So I noticed
Did
that
the
the
game
game
crash
doesn't
or?
really like loading other saves.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Omar's at that kid wanna get to.
That's what we should have named your children in the Imperator
Oh
stream.
yeah. Nice. For
That I'm
next
bad at
time.
naming cities
I'm
doesn't
doing
mean
that
I'm
from
bad
now
at
on.
naming kids. Come on.
I mean, it's a realistic
I'll
approach.
never show you my Mountain Blade Bannerlord names. Person 1.
Person 1, person 2.
So what were we doing here again?
I don't know. I'd say we don't have too much security.
Well, we can fix that.
What did these houses need? The next wall, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we built that, I mean,
I see you're not building too many wells.
yeah, I don't really know if they're like, if you need those or not.
I don't know. I was
Because I have like the
the
canals with the whatchamacallit, the thingies.
Has water.
These the shadoofs.
Yeah.
So that's enough. So you can either build a well or have a canal nearby.
Yeah. I would build small clusters of houses and then have a well in the center or stuff like that.
You're not the pro city builder here, so I mean.
That is true.
You said your bet. Those were your own words. So.
They are my own words. As our Frostpunk stream proves. Alright, Pasco. Have a good night.
Bye, Pascal.
Sleep well.
So we might just wanna. This is also kind of iffy. You can't just like select all walls and just upgrade them. No.
Yeah, you have to select a section. So it gets a bit. Not even with pressing shift, right?
Nope.
No.
Or I haven't found the hotkey for that yet.
Not even.
Especially like these little in between stuff. They're so annoying.
It's weird how this in between stuff are being made because sort of. It feels a little bit random, like you place the gate and it creates this tiny fluxion on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, like
it's right next to the gate.
This is a section.
Yeah, this is like what?
Why?
Oh, this doesn't have a section, right? It's just
No, it's just a thing.
the wall tower and the
yeah.
gate tower, thankfully.
Come on.
I mean, you also have these towers, which they are there for the next upgrade, but right now they're not really towers. They don't really do anything.
Yeah, you can't walk on the wall, so.
No. Stroll on the wall.
Oh, come on. Come on!
A slow and steady process.
This is a relaxing game, remember?
Yeah. Remember what you said.
All games are meant to be fun. Sid Meier.
Yeah. Wow. That's a cross reference right there. A crossover episode.
One More Turn, Season 4, 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
So I think that was all, but we're never gonna make that before the end of the stream. But
No. So that thing in that with the yellow roof is remind me which building is it?
Which one?
The
this
one with the on the left.
That's the
The
granary.
The granary, right? Yeah, right. So if you zoom in on the granary, it has this very nice circular silos that is not exactly super accurate in the way that it's been made. This should have been like independent buildings, but it's quite close.
So they could fill them from the top probably and then empty them from the bottom, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense as well.
One person only guides one donkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in here you can see as well, I'm running on 4 speed. It kind of gets a little bit buggy-ish.
Yeah.
Like, especially like there's almost 2,000 people living in the city. You could see this is a one-person game, as in the stuff you normally, when a big company make these kinds of games, you have people like testing this and working out these kinds of stuff.
I mean, yeah, even when you have like 4 or 5 people, you can have someone who's like more dedicated to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but of course, when you're just the one person making this, I mean, it's incredible for one person.
Oh, yeah, mad respects for that person. It's
Especially,
also like, I don't think they've, or at least with this company, the Decumanus games, I don't know what other stuff that person has made, but on the website, that's the only game. So I don't know what else they've made.
I really like just the fact that, as with Old World, it is an early access game, but you can play it. I mean,
yeah, and you can play
actually
full
play
potential.
it. It's not like, I mean, Bannerlord was also kind of finished, but so much more needed to be added in Bannerlord than needed to be added here. I mean, you could just basically leave this on for a day and would just continue. I mean, it's also, of course, the kind of game, but still.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
I mean, these are like the small companies. That's what early access is really about, and indeed not the closed beta, Cyberpunk or Humankind.
Wow. Yeah, no, but that's totally true, though. That's totally true. Now, this is just a great game, I think, and it's also the kind of historical game that it doesn't shove any history down your throat. Like if you would take away the title, you didn't call it Sumerians, you would just call it City Builder, as Omar would name it probably.
City Builder somewhere in Mesopotamia.
No, just, a random name, doesn't matter. Like City Builder 101, I don't know. It would still feel right. So it doesn't, for me, I'm like, an Near Eastern archaeology geek. I love this. But it doesn't, you don't have to, because this is just a very good city builder game on its own. So it has both going.
I think Omar will steal that idea if he ever makes a city builder himself. Just call it City Builder.
Yeah, probably.
No, just city.
Just city.
City.
Or just builder.
Or you can't name your city star all called city.
Or just not name it anything. Haha.
Game.
Game.
The
game. Or just the.
The game.
The.
No, just the. Just scratch it.
Scratch it. Too many letters.
I'm really looking forward to how this game develops. So what more will be added in the future? Especially because I think I really like the artwork, but I think the artwork is like the most work, as in making it look good, but also having it like kind of different all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what is the approach on the artwork, whether the developer is using, what kind of templates they're using, and what, like, not everything is a template, obviously. So they've been doing an incredible work, actually, but I don't know what kind of resources they're using. Or maybe they're just so freaking talented, in which case I'm just jealous.
Are you now saying I will have 4 wives, Angus? Okay.
So. I don't know what you're doing with them. But...
Wow, the stab.
They all die of dysentery, I know.
Oh no.
Maybe you're Ross from Friends. That is a reference for the people who are older than 30 in the chat.
Which is not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is also where the game gets kind of... You know me, I'm like, I need the quick rewards. So now I'm like sitting here just staring at the screen like...
It's the kind of game that you have to set your own goals. You have to be like, I want to get to a city to 5,000 people.
Or I want to build a cigarette. But it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, so like it's the Minecraft style city builder, you know?
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Minecraft, the city builder.
Yeah. In some ways it looks a little like it would be so interesting to actually make a city here and then reconstruct that city in Minecraft. Wow.
Oof. But then we need to build the old one, the other one with the ziggurat. I mean, this city is
obviously.
kinda eh.
It would also be such a meta thing to do. Like, we do the Minecraft with Roman heritage. No. We're doing virtual heritage in Minecraft. So for some reason, maybe it is the Browns, but this game looks even more like an ant tank than other city builders.
What's an ant? Oh, like an ant tank. I was like,
Yeah.
Ants.
Yeah.
I love ant
I mean, it's also from so far away.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
like go from like the top.
Yeah, this top view.
But who plays city builders like this? Come on.
Yeah, this actually looks like ants.
Yeah. This would be just weird to play it like this.
Yeah, I mean, why would you?
I have no idea. But the option is there if you ever want it.
I mean, maybe for making straight lines.
Okay, yeah.
Because this
Yeah,
is not
your
a
wall
straight
is
line.
a bit.
Yeah,
not
but that
so
was, I
straight over
I
there.
had to go around these farms, I think. Or there was something I had to go around, so. But still.
Well, cool stuff.
Yeah, and it is. It's 11:30, so I think it's time to wrap this up because I don't
I
think
think we
there will
can
be
wrap up.
much more to get from this game. Let me just
Yeah, we could play this
switch
for
to
a
the
while.
other. Do you have any last comments you want to add on this beautiful game?
Corina?
No, not for me. But you're the expert.
mean,
so maybe.
Your last rant, your last piece of advice, your last Sumerian wisdom. I don't know.
Wisdom.
No, I just really like it, and it's the kind of game that I could even easily also even use in classroom, which I think would be really cool to teach, like Sumerian city building in a class. And I would really like if there will. Personally, I would really like if there was some more historical stuff into it, and I don't know if the Kumanus is watching or will watch this, but I would gladly consult on that regard. But I think it would be nice to get some stuff in there, just a little bit, like
The Hanging
make-
Gardens, maybe?
maybe no, but to spice it up with some names or with some terminologies, just to
Yeah.
spice up the historical
Or
essence of it.
a encyclopedia or something. With more
Yeah,
of the, like
exactly.
the
That would
context
be
of
cool.
certain buildings. I think that's something which really
Yeah.
it works well. It's not too difficult, but and especially for like people like me. I mean, I know Sumerians, of course, but I don't really know anything about them.
Mm.
That's
Yeah, but you don't really learn anything about them from this game.
yeah,
right?
but unless you have like the more context or an encyclopedia or other stuff about certain buildings.
So I think, like for example, this little icon on the temple that it was a Telesmar Horde. I think it could be something that it's mentioned there, or
I mean, it's
you know.
in Civ. That's where I know it from, because it's
Yeah.
the logo for whatchamacallit. I think is it Ashurbanipal? Yeah.
Oh, you mean the logo on the ziggurat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is for the Sumerians.
Yeah.
For Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh,
right?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I mean, like that. My
Yeah,
knowledge
you
stops like immediately.
Anyway, but it's fun. Just check it out if you want.
Yeah, it's
Support
not
the
that
developer.
expensive. I think.
It's a
Let me
good
just
game.
check how
It's
it's went.
It's $15. Right
Yeah,
now.
I mean that's for a game.
It's 15
this,
bucks.
Yeah,
But think about the fact that it's one single person doing this whole thing.
and it's early access, so it will get more content. And it has very positive reviews on Steam.
So give it a shot.
Yes. So
Give it a shot.
we will be back on Thursday with
Yes.
the last episode of One More Turn, which I will speedrun again.
And I think we're gonna speedrun the last chapters probably.
Yeah, I heard
Right.
from a little person talking in my ear that we could just skip those because they're not interesting. So I mean,
Oh wow. The Baron. We'll see.
we'll see. Anyway, time to head out. As always, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.